to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will call the roll. Please correct the pronunciation of your name if it is incorrect.
Aloko, Anderson, Ashmore, Baldinger, Brazier, Coulomb, Koviak, Creedon, Cumby, Dopolito, Davis, Dorsey, Dorsnowski, Erler, Freer, Fry, Govan, Gay, George, Gopel, Hopkins, Hunter, Iftikhar, Jacobson, Cassetti, Keenan, Kern, Kirby, Lewis, Matthews, Miles, Wonkapusia, Pickford, Sams, Sanders, Santiago Cedillo, Schmidt, Sheridan, Spurgeon, Silkert, Tapia, Tawaka, Cannon, Walker, Watley.
With a quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the Journal of September 3rd, 2025 as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with reports from Senate leadership. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette, you're recognized. Hey, everybody. So rules met on Sunday at 5:30. We went over 3 pieces of legislation, all of which were found unanimously favorable. You have my time for questions. Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Academics Committee. Chairperson Koviak, you're recognized.
A committee member today. So, okay, wait till that. Anywho, I don't really have anything else other than that. So I yield my time to questions.
The chairperson yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairperson? Seeing none, thank you, Chairperson Koviak. We will now hear a report from the Finance Committee. Chairman Matthews, you're recognized.
Hello, everybody. Finance Committee met last week on Thursday. Usually we meet on Fridays, but there's a lot going on last weekend. Both myself and Ashley were not able to attend our normal time. We're back to normal scheduling here on out, Fridays, 3:30. But anyways, last week we reviewed 2 requests. Approved everything with the requests. So I guess I have questions about that.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none, thank you, Chairman Matthews. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Chairwoman Cumby, you're recognized.
Hi everyone, the Health and Safety Committee met last Wednesday after Senate, and we have loved attending every part of the Safety Week so far. We're so proud of the BP branch what they've done. We are still in our legislative phase for September and are working on expanding the USPD student interns beyond criminal justice majors, permitting RAs to use CPR BLS skills, expanding the current bike rental system on campus, and the overall bike safety. Looking forward, we plan to continue the drink testing initiative during the week before Halloween, as well as possibly having a self-defense class. with USCPD during the same week. Before the end of the semester, we are aiming to partner with colleges to increase flu shot accessibility among students.
The Vice Chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Vice Chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you, Chairwoman. We will now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairwoman Diapolito, you are recognized.
Hey guys, Judiciary met this week at our normal time at 6 o'clock on Tuesdays. We started our meeting off interviewing Tyler Fritner for the position of Associate Justice. He was found unanimously favorable. We also went over SBL 11750 and SBL 11751, which were both found unanimously favorable with one abstention. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you, Chairwoman Diapolito. We will now hear a report from the Liberties and Representations Committee. Chairwoman Hopkins, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. We met at our normal time this week, which is Mondays at 4 p.m. And we discussed some legislation that we want to put out. Hopefully next week, we will start seeing some more frequent pieces. If you are one of the senators that decided to adopt a piece of legislation, like from the committee shared drivey thingy, I will be reaching out to you all either tonight or tomorrow. Next week, our normal meeting time will be supplemented for a walkthrough of the Anne Frank Center, but we're going to be doing that next Tuesday at 6:30. So instead of our normal meeting time, we'll be doing that. Fun. Everyone's invited. I think a few people who aren't in the committee are interested in coming, so the more the merrier. And then lastly, I've been in communications with the director of parking and public transportation on campus, and we're setting up a meeting to go over some legislation ideas and maybe some like collaborative events and just kind of pick their brains. The meeting's either going to be September 22nd or 23rd. I've sent out a when to meet, and their hours are from like 9 to 4:30. So I'm just going to see when the most amount of people are available to go then. If you want to come to that, hit me up. The more the merrier. And I yield the remainder of my time to questions.
The Chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you, Chairwoman Hopkins. We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairwoman Anderson, you are recognized.
Hi guys, not a ton from me. We met Monday at 5:15 on Zoom, and we found SBL 11751 favorable with an amendment. There was just a small error in the section and chapter number, and then we had no interviews this week. So with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chairwoman? Seeing none, thank you, Chairwoman Anderson. We will now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairman Spurgeon, you are recognized.
We met on Monday, 6 p.m. and found Bill 49 recommendations for the sponsor of the sports program favorable. We talked about legislation.
The Chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chairman? Seeing none, thank you, Chairman Spurgeon. We will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairwoman Gopal, you are recognized. Senator Keenan, you are recognized.
Hey everyone, health or sustainability met for a quick meeting on Monday around 6:30, and we had no legislation to discuss, which is why it was brief. We went over what the plan was for the year. Abby said she had reached out to Marietta Rapp, Larry Cook, and Jesse McNevin, and she was going to meet with them. She also mentioned that if anyone wants to be a Senate representative at the campus sustainability meeting, you can reach out to her, and she also said there will be free food there. I yield my time to questions.
The Senator yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Senator? Seeing none, thank you, Senator Keenan. We will now hear a report from the Freshman Council. Directors, you are recognized. We will now hear a report from the Constitutional Council. Chief Justice Butcher, you are recognized.
swearing in our new associate justice today. So we have a full court. Very excited. Questions?
The Chief Justice yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you, Chief Justice Butcher. We will now hear a report from the Speaker of the Senate, Maura Grace Hamilton. Chief of Staff Thornton, you are recognized. The Chief of Staff yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Chief of Staff? Seeing none, thank you, Chief of Staff. We're now in line for a report from the Student Body Treasurer. Is there a representative? We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Vice President. Vice President Jordan, you're recognized.
Hey all, happy Wednesday. Good things for me, not much. Safety Week has been this week. We've had a lot of success. You guys that came out and supported us. We had Drinks and Drink Covers Monday, Pizza with the Cups on Tuesday, and today we had big consider student health well-being. Tomorrow is the safety walk, so we'll be meeting tomorrow at around 7:30. Probably in LSC, and then we're gonna walk down to Davis Field. So USCPD is coming out, Parking's coming out, and facilities coming out. USC, so super excited about that. Freshman Council, we've had a lot of interviews this past week, this past weekend. Decisions will be out tomorrow by noon. So super excited about that. If you want to take a little and have not joined the group meet, look in the main SG group meet group chat and join the group chat. You also have to fill out the form. Freshman Council Treat will be this Sunday at Darla Moore. Super excited about that. So next session we'll have it. That you have my time to questions.
The Vice President yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Vice President? Seeing none, thank you. We're now in line for a report from the Student Body President, President Courtney Taggs. You're recognized.
Right. There we go.
Okay, so I'm gonna get straight to the chase. I did have to veto SBL 11741. I have valid reasons. I swear I'm not just gonna veto a bill. But basically, Section 5450E violates Article 14 of the Student Government Constitution, which says any ruling of the Constitutional Council may be appealed to the Department of Student Life. So that is breaking the Constitution, so we can't have that in there. Secondly, I had a lot of great conversations with our advisors, and they basically gave us two options. If we were to go back and recast a vote, we can't do that. So it's either A, you're not recasting a vote, or B, we would have to completely redo the election all over again and submit a completely separate ballot. Everyone would have to recast. Up to y'all. But I think I am very willing to work with y'all on amendments to this. I think the pause is acceptable. But again, logistically, both of those sections are not feasible. Okay, moving on from the veto.
I was at USC Sumter today to hear from their student concerns and the transition, and we mainly talked about the transition from their 2-year institution to a 3-year institution. We had a lot of great questions about USC Columbia and how we could partner. So I was able to get a tour of their campus, meet with their dean, SG advisors, and student life. So a very productive meeting, and again, the goal of that was to, one, make sure that I'm advocating for them, board of trustees, and two, make sure that we have a better relationship going into Carolina Day next year. I was also able to have a great meeting with our athletic director, Jeremiah Donati, and I was able to look at the new Williams-Brice Stadium renovation and give some input and kind of hear how that is moving along. And he is very interested in meeting with y'all, so he's actually coming to SG Wide on November 6th. And he's going to be bringing some architects, some other people from athletics. This is a very, very, very big deal. I'm very thankful that he wants to meet everyone and receive feedback. So put that on your calendar. Next, Uber discounts for this week. We're going to have one drop at 8 a.m. It's going to be $8 off in the morning. And we're going to have a drop at the end of the quarter, $10 off in the afternoon. I was also able to have an introductory meeting with our new provost, Provost Fitzpatrick. So she is really, really willing to meet with students and work with students. And she'll be at Popsicles with the provost on September 19th from 12 to 2. So anybody on academics, or basically anybody that oversees anything academically focused, if you would like to talk to her, it's a great opportunity to do that. I did have my first Russell House expansion committee, so we came up with a strategic plan to focus on space, accessibility, and dining. And if anybody in Senate wants to have a more active role in the Russell House expansion committee, please let me know. We meet basically every 3 Fridays from 12:45 to 1:45, but the bulk of the work is done in between those meetings. Additionally, please sign up for Imagine Carolina. Also sign up if you want to be a note taker. Next, update on nightlife safety. We actually got 4 more nightlife areas to want to work with us and put some information in their nightlife areas regarding the Angel Shop program and Columbia PD information, as well as USC PD information. So there's a Beer Garden, Twin Ridge, Bailey's, Vista Union. And then to end off on a very positive note, Chick-fil-A wants to work with us. Whoop. So if anybody's doing any events and you think Chick-fil-A would greatly benefit them, please let us know. I'm very excited for that. With that, I yield.
The president yields to questions. Are there any questions for the president? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read? Is there a motion for a 1-minute recess? Is there a second?
Slow, as it does work.
Senate will now come to order. We are now in line for the special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding vacant seat applications. Brandon Green, Evan Lawton, Sergio Bonegas, Sebastian Lemery, Gavin Primus.
The applicants are referred to Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding student senator resignations. Lacey Creedon, John Schmidt.
Received. We're now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any other letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read? Seeing no more special orders of the Senate, we are now in the motion period. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to appoint Tyler Fritner to the position of Associate Justice of the Constitutional Council. All in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to suspend the rules so that the individual can take his oath of office. All in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Chairwoman Diapolito. It's been a motion to reinstate the rules. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Chairwoman Hopkins. There's been a motion to remove the Speaker Pro Tem from the Health and Safety Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Hopkins. There's been a motion to add the Speaker Pro Tem forward to the Liberties and Representations Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sheridan. There's been a motion to remove Senator Sheridan from the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to add a bill to remove the neighborhood associations from the codes to the first reading calendar. All in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Senator Sheridan. There's been a motion to add Senator Sheridan to the Finance Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Diapolito. There has been a motion to add a recommendation to employ Dr. Goodman and establish a committee to revise the codes to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Vice Chairman Fry. There's been a motion to add the Vice Chairman to the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairman Matthews. There's been a motion to add the recommendation to the first reading calendar. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Chairwoman Anderson. There's been a motion to add SBL 11738 and place it on the first reading calendar. Second uncontested reading calendar. All in favor, contested. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Chairwoman Anderson. There's been a motion to add Amendment 1 to SBL 38. 38. All in favor, say aye. Oh, does the sponsor find this friendly? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion for a 5-minute recess? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Senate will now come to order. Are there any more motions? Chairwoman Anderson. There's been a motion to add Amendment 1 to SBL 11751. Does the sponsor find this friendly or unfriendly? Seeing no objections, the amendment is adopted. Chairwoman Anderson. Does the sponsor find this friendly? Seeing no objections, the amendment is now adopted. Senator Kirby. Does the sponsor find this friendly? Senator Talaka. No. Is there a point of order to remove Senator Miles from her position of senator in the 117th Student Senate based off attendance? Chairman Matthews, you would. Is there a second? We'll now go into a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Senator Talaka. Yes. There's been a motion to add the Speaker Pro Tempore to the College of Arts and Sciences. Is there a second? All in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Senator Mwakapusia. There's been a motion to change the senator's delegation to the College of Engineering. Is there a second? Seeing no objection, senators change delegations. There's been a motion to change the chairman's delegation to the College of Engineering. Is there a second? Seeing no objections, senator has changed delegations. Chairwoman Diapolito. Is there a second? Seeing no objection, you may continue. Point of information, there are 2 vacancies. They filled the vacancies. We're good. We're good. Senator Kirby. There's been a motion to add Amendment 1 to SBL 1559? SBL 11749. Does the sponsor find this friendly? Seeing no objections, the amendment is now adopted. Senator Galvin. There's been a motion to move Senator Galvin from the Judiciary Committee. Is there a second? Seeing no objection, Senator is now. Without objection, so ordered. Seeing no more motions, is there a motion to dispense? Senator Oloka. There's been a motion to remove the senator from the Student Life Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Oloka. There's been a motion to add the senator to the Health and Safety Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Seeing no more motions, is there a motion to dispense of the motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11755, sponsored by Speaker Pro Tempore Violette and Senator Sands, a recommendation to request that the University Police Department and City of Columbia Police Department routinely monitor Assembly Street and Blossom Street.
Senator Sams and Speaker Pro Tempore Violette, you are now recognized to speak on the legislation.
Okay, hi everybody. So this is just a recommendation that on Assembly in Blossom, or that USCPD and the Columbia Police Department put in a speed monitor there, especially one of the ones with like the little police lights, because those are always scary. But so basically, we want to do this because there have been a couple accidents there, and from what we can tell, there isn't any speed monitor there already. So yeah, if you guys want any like statistics or anything, I have those too. But I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields her time to questions. Hearing none, the legislation is now referred to the Health and Safety Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11756, sponsored by Vice Chairman Fry and Chairperson Koviak, a recommendation to encourage senators to build representation on the Master Mobility Plan, USC Next.
Senators, you are now recognized to speak on the legislation.
Hi, everyone. I know that this was viewed in rules, that's why it's here. But this is a simple recommendation to have student voices included within this Master Mobility Plan project. Again, I know the recommendation itself is relatively short, and there's also a line that we'll probably amend about establishing a student committee. I just don't think it's going to be necessary. But I know that there's been a lot of work done to address the parking issues on campus, especially with the large influx of students coming to USC. So I would say letting Student Senate have a direct role in helping with this mobility plan would be a really good thing for us. And I already heard from the chairperson of the Liberties and Representation say that they had a meeting with parking and transportation. So I like to hear that. And I'll let Chairperson Koviak speak.
Yeah. So essentially just like my colleague was saying, just kind of continuing on with wanting to make sure that student voices are heard in these kinds of very important issues. You know, a lot of times these kinds of things come through and students find out after everything's already been solidified, and students are going, hey, like that doesn't really work. Students are the ones traversing our campus the most. They're the ones knowing what's actually a problem, what's not, and sometimes finding, you know, workarounds that perhaps official departments may not always know about. So having student voices as Student Senate, but also, you know, students themselves is very important in these kinds of things. It allows for us to think outside the box. So that's kind of what we want to make sure we can do, especially with, you know, if we change things on campus, students are the ones impacted, not being able to get to their classes, getting to their organizational commitments, all of that. So that's kind of the basis of this recommendation.
Yield to questions.
The senators yield their time to questions. Hearing none, the legislation is now referred to the Health and Safety Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11747, sponsored by Senator Talaka, a recommendation to consider routine doctor's appointments and the loss of a pet as excused absences.
Senator Talaka, you are now recognized to speak on the legislation.
Okay. Currently, the attendance policy is that if you have a routine appointment or if your pet dies, it's not excused, and I think that's crazy. Right now, a lot of students have gone through this where they had an appointment and they had to reschedule because they had a test or something, and that's just not feasible. If you have to wait months to get medication, that's just not happening. So I think it would be great if we could make it so you can send in like an excuse 2 weeks before the appointment, maybe, or before, and have the office say, yeah, you can do that. I yield my time to questions.
Senator yields her time to questions. Hearing none, the legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Oh,
Questions?
Senator Sheridan, you're recognized.
So just a quick question. What exactly constitutes a pet in this situation? Like someone's like turtle, or does it have to be like a dog or a cat?
I'd say a turtle is fine. Like a pet is a pet. If you've like had a pet for years and they die, that would make you pretty sad. So yeah.
So like there's not exactly a cap on it. Like what exactly the animal we're talking about or the pet?
I mean, people can get attached to bees, so I wouldn't put a cap on it.
Okay, thank you.
And I know for like other like losses and like excuse absences, a lot of them have to go through like the student advocacy center with Prue. So how would that work if like, you know, you have a pet? Like,
I've actually had that happen, and the best thing you could do is either get like a note from a vet, or if you did get them cremated, then you can have a death certificate.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Are we getting death certificates for like dorm beta fish? Are those count? How many years do they have to have been alive?
I mean, don't get a fish just because you want an excuse absence.
Okay, I might
But
might do that.
but if your pet is actually a fish, I would say a note from a vet would be good.
Got 100 fish. That's only like $100.
I'm not gonna put a cap on it, but I assume most people won't do that.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions?
Seeing none, the legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11758, sponsored by the Finance Committee, a recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds.
Chairman Matthews, you are recognized.
We're back. All right. Yeah, it was pretty quick. We approved 2 requests, about $1,800 in total. One was for a conference, and another was a tabling event in the org fair. They got some flyers. Great. Any questions? I yield to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Chairwoman Hopkins. There's been a motion to pass by unanimous consent. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Seeing no objections, the legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11750, sponsored by Chairwoman Doppolito, a bill to remove the Neighborhood Association from the codes.
Chairwoman Diapolito, you're recognized to speak.
Hey, this one's really simple. The neighborhood association no longer exists. I yield my time to questions.
Chairwoman yields her time to questions. Chairwoman Hopkins. There has been a motion to pass by unanimous consent. Is there a second? Seeing no objections, the legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11760, sponsored by the Rules Committee, a recommendation to USC to employ Dr. Michael Goodman and establish a committee to revise the codes.
Okay, I guess I'll represent the Rules Committee. Just say that. So, as we know, our codes need a lot of work with clarity, taking out loopholes, taking out anything that does not exist anymore, like we just did, and the legality of all of it, just checking everything, just revamping it, making it more concise. So there is a man, his name is Michael Goodman, and he actually does this for a living. He goes into student governments and he helps them work on their codes with revising them. So what this would mean is he will have a committee picked by administration. I'm not sure who's going to be in that. But that committee will come together and they will think of different things or different places in the codes that need to be changed, that need to be fixed, that need to be more concise. He will then take those suggestions and take the codes, and he works in a traffic light system per se. Like, so green is this is good, yellow is this could either be better, it could be more concise, or like there might be an issue here, and red is this just not legal, like please take this out. After that, I am not fully clear on if it goes back to the committee and they edit it, or and then it goes through Senate. No matter what, it's going through Senate. It follows every single process that we follow right now with bills. And yeah, so that's what this is our recommendation for the university to employ him. We think he's really great. So far, he has done many schools, including other SEC schools like LSU and UT Austin, and both of them have had awesome reviews. So we're kind of excited for this chance. But with that, do you have anything to add?
Yes, point of information, he's not actually going to be editing our codes. That will be up to the committee.
He gives recommendations and they go sent back to the committee.
Second point of information, he is employed at UT Austin. If you want to look him up, Dr. Michael Goodman, UT Austin.
With that, we yield our time to questions.
Chairwoman yields her time for questions. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, the legislation is now referred to all committees. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, clerk will now read. Senator Sheridan. Is there a second? Seeing no objection. Granted. We will now move to the uncontested second reading calendar. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11748, sponsored by Speaker Pro Tempore Violette, a recommendation to urge the City of Columbia to add a sidewalk along 411 Hugie Street.
We're now recognized to speak. Hey, everyone. So, like I was saying last week, Columbia is very unsafe, especially around Hugie Street. I'm still in contact with Courtney's team. I'm still in contact with, I'm trying to get in contact with her outreach, Peyton Tumblin. So, any questions? Yes, you should have been. Should have been. If you'd like to come in. Oh. Should be on 49 or 48. Yeah, should be on. Well, good. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, we will now move to a voice vote on the legislation. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now passed. Continuing on with the call for the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now.
SBL 11749, sponsored by Senator Lewis and Kirby, a recommendation to create and expand a university esports program at the Columbia campus.
Senators, you are now recognized to speak on the legislation.
So basically, this is a esports expanding here for having a university-backed esports program. And we talked about this in our student life committee meeting on Monday, a little bit about this. And so some updates that we received from the last time this was talked about. Actually, so I actually spoke with, his name is Mason, and they have like just about a group of maybe about 10 of them here. They get together and they play like video games here. And they were very excited to hear about this piece of legislation about the video games. And so, expanding off of that, we are creating something here that's already on the multiple campuses. And I think it should be right here. You got one on USC Aiken, you got one on USC Lancaster. And so we need one here on USC Columbia, and we need to set the standards for the rest of the schools. They need to have scholarships, they need to have funding, and they need to have the athletics and to back them with these programs. I think be very successful. And you know, I'm very excited about it too. I might start playing video games if we get the team together. I'm gonna let Kirby share a personal story about this.
Hey guys, I was on the group reference a second ago last year. I think it's called the Esports Club. It's a good bit more than 10 people, but we have teams in almost every SEC league. I'm no longer in that club, but we did speak to both the current president and the past president. They have already spoken to the president of the university and board members, so they are already fighting this fight. Approving this bill would just be to give them some more resources. If you guys are more interested, they share with me some interesting studies about freshmen, how they're currently in their bedrooms more than they're out and about, and how their numbers with the club have been substantially rising semester after semester and getting freshmen back out. I had a lot of fun in this club, and a lot of them do, and they also, to my understanding, receive athletic funding for their student organization. So they're not completely off the books, but they definitely need help. I believe they do have a small room that only fits about 6 to 8 people in the close-up building, but they need... Oh, wait. Oh. Sorry, I was incorrect in that one. Sorry, guys. Yeah, redact that. Anyways, they are determined to keep fighting this fight, but passing this will definitely help them out.
Yeah, so basically the room that he was talking about in the close tip is that a couple years ago the HMR school actually funded a kind of an esports lab to teach in, but the downside is that they do not allow any students in that room unless an advisor with you or you taking one of those classes. So basically another leverage that we're going to use is we're going to say, hey, we're building our own athletics team. How about you join us and help us out? Or you know, the students are just going to leave that class program and go join the competitive teams I think we have here. And, you know, with that, we yield with questions.
Senators yield their time to questions. Senator Iftikhar.
Have you sort of figured out the steps for them? Because you did mention that they do, but that's currently being occupied by that, right? Like who's mentioning what?
We're not even real. That's more of academic. This is more of a university-backed sports team. So it would be a different department, more of athletics.
Which, Senator Devi mentioned that freshmen are being going with. I don't play a lot of these sports, but from what I understand, I can join this or a group of friends just by being in that, right? Don't that contribute to the problem of people being in the room even more? If you know, there's more of an incentive for you to be in your room if there's already these sport competitions going. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, sorry. Well, from my understanding, their statistics shows more freshmen outreach to their events than they would be in their room because the club we're basically basing this information off of have a lot of in-person events as well. Now, you are correct. You could play those videos in your room, but the way they have it, I believe they have a lot of in-person events to fight against that. Their goal is to get the students out of their bedroom.
Senator Hunter. Approved. Hearing no other questions, we will now move to a voice vote on the legislation. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Legislation is now passed. Senator Talaka. Okay. Senator Talaka. Is there a second? With no objections, so ordered. Senator Talaka. Approved. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11750, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito, a bill to amend Chapter 2, Articles 1 and 2 of the Codes.
Chairwoman Diapolito, you're recognized to speak.
Nothing has changed with this. It's the same bill that has been circulating for a bit, and I yield my time for questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Hearing none, we will move to a voice vote on the legislation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is passed. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11751, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito, a bill to clarify the committee limits in Senate.
Chairwoman Diapolito, you're recognized.
Just a reminder, this is so that every committee can have their own members and they don't have to share, and it will get more, oh wait, wrong bill. I was on the next one. Bill to clarify the committee. Oh yeah, this one's about rules. This is so that rules does not count as one of the minimum of one committee or the maximum of 3 committees. Just because being in rules is a mandatory thing for chairpersons, therefore they would only have one more committee they are able to join for funsies. With that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Hearing none, we will now move to a voice vote on the legislation. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Oh, chairwoman. Is there an?
Yeah.
Is-
I think it was, oh yeah. It was adopted during the motion period, yeah. Yeah. Just for
Chairwoman.
point of information, just for clarification, if anyone was confused by that amendment, it was because I made a little bit of a mistake and put this in the wrong section, and I flipped the numbers. So Lauren did me a favor and flipped the numbers back, so it will be in the right section now. That's it for my.
Now we will move to a voice vote on the legislation. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now passed. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11752, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito, a bill to revise cabinet committee position.
Okay, this is what I was talking about before. This is for President's Cabinet. It's just so people have their own cabinet members and don't have to share, and we can get way more people involved that way, which is so awesome. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
Chairwoman yields her time to questions. Hearing none, we will now move to a voice vote on the legislation. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now passed. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read. Seeing none, we are now on the call of the contested calendar. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11738, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to expand accessible Jewish food options in university dining. And Anderson.
Senators, you are recognized to speak.
I added an amendment, so I'll just explain my amendment really quickly. But essentially, the amendment said, when we talked last week, there were a lot of questions about like how we would implement it and like adding like Jewish food options to like all of our dining halls and what that would look like. So this just kind of clarifies that all of the like premises are the same. It just adds that we would introduce it first in the Gamecock General. So it would be just like small kosher friendly like grab and go meals there, and it would be introduced there first, and then depending on how that goes, that gives like the university discretion to decide to continue adding that to other places as well. And I think that about.
Yeah, that basically covered the amendment talking about the pilot program. I will also say that if anyone wants to be part of those conversations with administration, you can kind of reach out to me. They have already kind of reached out to the somebody in Courtney's team. Want to get started on talking about this very quickly. And with that, yeah, we yield for questions.
The senators yield their time to questions.
You mentioned you'll be adding two shifts to the association. I believe that already exists, by like but it usually has the U on it, which means it's two shifts. So stuff like that exists in for the dining hall. I actually did research this a bit myself. True Bowl does exist, which usually gives four shifts. You can sort of have a bowl created for you that would be all four shifts. So
I can kind of answer this. Essentially, like when you read through the legislation, there are like some kosher and like for a lot of different like eating kind of what would be the word like dietary restrictions. There are some options. This just focuses on encouraging more. So a lot of Jewish students like have reached out specifically to Lester talking about like how they feel like there aren't enough options for them. So this essentially says that starting in the Gamecock General, they will add more kosher friendly options than what they have, and then depending on like how successful it is or how used those resources are, then they could add from there. That kind of answers it.
if you're planning to add four shift food options to the dining hall, toilet station, for example, would you be focused just on adding four shift food options or foods that are considered staples of the American cuisine?
Well, our current legislation, you can answer this too, focuses on kosher certified meals, but that would also be at like the discretion of like we can write this piece of legislation, but a lot of those details then come up to the university depending on like what they want to add as well.
Yeah, I would also add that I spoke with the Secretary of Religious, and he has already started some of those early conversations. And basically, he said that some things are out of the students' hands, and so that the administration will handle some of those aspects and dealing with the part of it. But we're asking for certified kosher food.
Just to recap, you're beginning with the standard, and then you'll see how that goes in.
Yeah, so essentially the piece of legislation focuses on like, it's very broad and saying like we would just like to add like kosher certified meals across campus, but then we added something because a lot of people were concerned about like how that would be implemented, saying that it would start with initial introduction and extra options in the Gamecock General, and then from there, obviously, that would be at like Carolina Dining and the school's discretion. Yes. Just only, that's not specified in the legislation, but Gamecock General is all pre-prepared meals. Yeah.
Hearing no more questions, we will now move to a roll call vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Holcomb, Anderson, Ashmore, Baldinger, Frazier, Fulham, Poviak, Creedon, Cumby, Zapolito, Davis, Dorsey, Dorsnowski, Erler, can you repeat that, please? Freer, Fry, Govan, Gay, George, Gopal, Hopkins, Hunter, Iftikhar, Jacobson, Cassetti, Keenan, Kern, Kirby, Lewis, Matthews, Miles, Wakapusia, Pickford, Sams, Sanders, Santiago Cedillo, Schmidt, Sheridan, Spurgeon, Silkert, Tapia, Tawaka, Violette, Von Cannon, Walker, Watley.
With a vote of 41 ayes to 0 nays, the ayes have it. Legislation is passed. Continuing on with the call of contested legislation. Hearing none, that completes the call of contested legislation. We are now in line for a period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter to the attention of the body? Chairwoman Diappolita.
Hey guys, I just have two really quick things to discuss. First thing with your committees, we've been seeing a very small increase with better attendance, but right now on our attendance sheet, committee times or wherever they are posted. So if you know you cannot make a committee time, unfortunately, you're just not going to be able to be in it because unfortunately we can't keep excusing you. But there are so many other committees and you can check what times work for your schedule and if you have any ideas. Also, that being said, just be very aware that like people are taking their times out to host these meetings, and we really all care for you guys and we care for the school and we want attendance to be great. But attendance in Senate usually is great. I don't know what's happening today. Has been great. Committees though, like it's not just me. So a lot of chairs have been seeing this. So I just wanted to make that a point right now. And then second, I wanted to bring this up because I'm guilty of it. We just saw as Lauren made an amendment. But while you're either writing or reviewing legislation, I know a lot of us are new to it. I just want to make sure everyone is looking in the right place and the right section. This isn't the first time my little mistake was. Like earlier in the term, other people have also done this and it's had to be amended or it's had to be denied at rules. So I just wanted to put that out there to just be very aware of where you're putting things in the codes. And if you have any questions, please come to me because right now I live, eat, breathe, sleep the codes. So yeah, and with that, I yield to the well.
Chairwoman yields her time to the well. Seeing no more discussions, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements from the floor? Senator Sanders, recognized.
Hey squad, so in April, I wrote a recommendation that passed. It was recommendation to increase amount of same day appointments. So leading into flu season. Well, I have a meeting next Friday actually with Michelle Go, who's the director of clinical services, but I'm just excited to announce that through work with cabinet members, specifically Mina, shout out Mina, we are nailing down dates in October for flu vaccination pop-ups at the Center of Health and Wellbeing. So just wanted to say that, yeah, progress has been made with that, and we're going to be a little bit more prepared coming into flu season this year. So, yeah.
Senator yields her time to the well. Seeing no more announcements, I have an announcement. Senate leadership meeting, I kind of brought that up a week ago. It's being postponed to October. That was just with delegations and committee chairs. Seeing no more announcements. With no further announcements, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection, the Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, September 17th, 2025.